What was the pull of the game then at the time? Was it the money? Was it the camaraderie? What was it about poker that you fell in love with?
The gamble.
Right.
I already had a gambling problem, like pretty bad gambling problem when I was a teenager, early in my teens. I was gambling at everything, like anything I could gamble at, like make-up games, like let's see if I could get this thing in that little tray or whatever. And I'd gamble with anyone who would bet anything with me.
Right.
So when I found poker and I found that there was like an edge and that you could make money, I think I was immediately like super hooked on it.
Where did that come from, that gamble, do you think? Have you ever reflected on that?
Yeah, so my grandmother, she's passed now, but she grew up in the Mexican home game circuit in like the 50s and 60s. And she's like, I mean, I don't know how much of this is like urban legend or like legends or just or real, but my mom, my uncles, they all talk about like, yeah, your grandma like left one day and then she lost the car, or she won 2 cars, or like you know, she was playing like these crazy home games.
Right.
And she was a crazy gambler. Like late into her life, she lived in a ranch. She was just, you know, barely mobile, and I'd like go to surprise her to the ranch to visit, and I'd show up and she'd be like grinding sit and goes on stars. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, and like she was a little senile by the end, but she'd like tell me hand histories of like hands she played in like a home game back then. She was like, oh yes, and then the guy like bluffed me and I like moved all in and whatever. So yeah, she taught me how to play cards when I was young, and I think I always had that in me. And then one of my mom's boyfriends, when I was growing up, would take me to the dog track and like give me a bankroll to bet. And to me, it was like the most fun. Like I'd plan my weekend like, all right, like I got to figure out like which dog wins this time. And I mean, I must have been like 8. And then my cousins love when I tell this story, because like I went to Mexico one summer when I was like 13, and I was like starting to get into, you know, buying like nice clothes or whatever. And I had the clothes that you buy in the US is very sought after in Mexico. Like people from Mexico travel to the US to go shopping. And I go, and my cousins had a pool table in one of their rooms, and all their friends who were like 16, 17, I was like 13, they just started like letting me win a little bit, letting me get good, and then they'd like take me, and I lost all of my clothes. Literally everything I had, they took all of it. And it was, I remember that was a big deal that summer, because like, of course, I like just paid everyone my clothes, and like my mom worked hard to get them, and I had no concept of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I showed back up to Texas, and my mom's like, what are you doing? You know, you're gambling everything away and blah, blah, blah. I worked so hard for it. I felt so bad. It was like my aunt had to go with my cousin's friends to try to get my clothes back.
Right.
Yeah, it was a big deal. So I always had the bug. Like since I was a kid, I had the bug.
When it comes to the bug, you know, thinking back over your life, could you share with us a time when the bug was at its most beautiful and the bug was at its most evil?
The bug was at its most beautiful. I mean, the bug can't be beautiful, can it? Like, I mean, I guess it can.
I mean, yeah, I used to gamble. I don't anymore. That'll tell you that you can work that one out yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, the bug has been both beautiful and destructive. I imagine it's been the same for you somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I mean, I've had like the classic run it up stories of like, oh, I put way too much of my bankroll in a game and like won a bunch. And I've had the classic, I lost all the money stories. I think the most beautiful part about the bug is that I'm here.